or instead of you creating the back-end logic separately, you are able to call a function of Flutter. You just call it in one line and it will be able to give you the whole button within just 2 lines. You just write button, you call the function of Flutter SDK, you write just button, and then it gives you the whole button. So instead of writing 20 lines, Flutter will translate those lines into Java or into Kotlin. It's just between you as and Kotlin, or between you and Java. So Flutter is between there. So it simplifies things. You just write one button and you are able to have a complete you just write one line and you're able to have a complete button, instead of you writing 30 lines to come up with one button. So Flutter gives you that ability. So, but what is actually happening in background, Flutter, it writes code, a native code. It writes real code. So this code can either be Java or it can be Kotlin. So the most popular and latest programming language that is almost replacing Java in creating native applications is Kotlin. So that's why we selected Kotlin. However, it doesn't mean that we're going to write Kotlin. So in Flutter, we shall be writing that. That's the programming language that we shall be using. So I've answered you. Ronald Bukeny. Ronald Bukeny, you can unmute and ask your question, sir.
Oh, so thank you. My question is around compatibility with other mobile software operating systems. How is Flutter probably compatible to the likes of Huawei that are using Harmon OS?
I don't know. I believe for me, I just know the 2 operating systems in mobile phones, and that's what we develop for Android and iOS. So those are the mobile, the most standard. Android is on Play Store, so anything that goes on Play Store is what you're going to develop. And iOS is on App Store. Is there other App Store beyond to those 2? If they are there, then you're not going to cater for those ones. We are just developing for 2. Either Android Android, Android, which is Play Store, and the iOS, which is App Store. Even Windows now, so you can even develop a software for Windows. So if there is any operating system that is not Windows, that is not iOS, that is not Linux, okay, that is beyond, let me show you, that is beyond this one. Let me show you something. Let me, just a second, before another person asks a question. Let me show you this. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. So let me show you here. If I come here and say new Flutter project, I click next. I hope you can see my screen. So Flutter application, with Flutter application, you can develop for these platforms. You can develop for Android, you can develop for iOS, you can develop for Linux, you can develop for Mac operating system, you can develop for web, you can develop for Windows. If you have another operating system that is not beyond here, that is not here, it is beyond our knowledge, and we're not going to cater for that. And I believe these are all. You can even develop for web with Flutter. So these are the operating systems that we know, and these are the ones that that we cater for. So with Flutter, you can develop for those ones only. All right. Before Okwi Benjamin, let's have Mugisha Ivan. I believe I've answered your question, sir. I believe even Huawei has Android inside it, Huawei phones. But if it is not there, then we don't cater for it, sir. Yes, let's have Benjamin Ivan. Mugisha, sorry.
Evening, sir.
Before Benjamin, let's have Mugisha Ivan.
Yes, I'm the one. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful insights on the lecture you've given us today. Just to to pour more light, and I have a question about whether choosing Flutter, because one of the things that we are learning Flutter, but I realized that when I was doing some research, Flutter struggles with, let's say, you want to work with hardware, you'll find that Flutter struggles a lot. Maybe Swift and Kotlin, maybe Java, they work properly, but Flutter is purely, like we can see, it's purely developing UI. When it comes to creating UIs, it is the best. But is it possible that someone can write Kotlin inside Flutter, instead of you having to redesign your UI, you replace your Dart with maybe Kotlin? That is one of the questions I have. Another one is...
let's first finish that, and then you go to another one, because it's going to be conversational. All right. You're saying it is struggling. What would you want to do with Flutter and cannot do it? For example,
I want, for example, interact with large scale systems.
Like what?
Flutter struggles.
Like what?
Yes.
Tell me, like, you want to access Bluetooth, you want to access a torch, you want to access something that is you want to access background services, you want to access network. Tell me a technical thing, like, I want to do something X. Flutter can't do it.
Let's say I'm capturing biometrics.
Biometrics. Yes, there are packages. Yes. They are there. Packages are there. For example, first of all, Android Studio. Mobile phones, they don't give a direct capture for biometrics. However, when the biometrics, let me answer it afresh. First of all, do you see this thing that we use for fingerprints? The real biometrics, that's the scanner that we use for putting our fingerprints on the real phone. First of all, phones, they don't, iOS and the Android, they don't give a direct access to that, whether you're using native Java or what. They don't give it. They only use it for verifying authentication, like unlocking a phone. They don't give it for capturing biometrics, even if you're using Android. But if you want to use biometrics, like they will see how we register with national ID and the rest, you need a device. So those devices, they always come with their what? With their SDKs. Okay? Standard development kit, just like that I said Flutter. It comes the SDK. So they will tell you whether this one supports Flutter or it does not. So if it does support Flutter, then they'll give you a respective SDK that will communicate directly with the operating system, and then you'll be able to make the use of their API to communicate with your app. However, Flutter has limitations, but limitations are really, really, really small, and you are free either to go do native, or you are free to concentrate on Flutter. But limitations are really small. Things like Bluetooth, things like a torch, things like vibration, things like ringtone, things like editing, things like accessing camera, all of them, Flutter gives them to you through packages. However, if you want to do something that is actually needs to communicate with the Android Studio directly without having an interface, you're free to do Android Studio. To do native development using Java or Kotlin. The final answer for your question: can I be able to write my Java code and it works in Flutter, or my Kotlin code and it works with Flutter? Yes, you can create your plugin. So just read an extension. You did a documentation of creating Flutter plugins. So with Flutter plugins, you go and write your real Java code or Android code and add it. You create as a Flutter plugin, and then you can add it to your application, or you can even make it available for application for others to use. So it is possible. That's what I would say, because you can be able to do that to create a plugin. That's why you see we are able to use Bluetooth, for example. Before, you couldn't access Bluetooth, but now if you want to use Bluetooth, there is someone who has created a Java code or an Android code that you can add in your Flutter app as a plugin or as a package, and then it will give you ability to call Flutter functions, and they will communicate directly to the what? To the either Bluetooth or to either camera or maybe PDF reading and the rest, and then they simplify for you. However, you're not limited. If you want to do if you want to do only native, still the road is open for you. However, Flutter makes life easy, and that's what we're going to concentrate on. So I hope I've answered you. Before I get Benjamin, ask your last question, and then I get another person.
My last one is mine as well. It's about Git. The Git you've showed us. Some of us were used to the command line. I hope it's okay to continue with what we know, or we should switch.
No. You don't. No need to switch. Thank you so much. No need to switch. If you're using command line, it is okay. For me, I'm used with the interface. It makes my life easy. But it is okay as long as if I tell you, can you push your things, you're able to push and you're able to see them on your repository. No problem. No problem at all. It is very fine. However, for beginners, they always get used with the interface with simplicity. All right. Thank you, Mugisha, for those questions. Let's have Benjamin. Then after we shall have Mohsin. Benjamin, please.
Okay. Thank you for that. I wanted to ask about that. I'm green. I don't know what that is. Probably it's a language. Okay. Then two. I wanted to ask, when you went to Flutter, there were many. When you went to the marketplace, when you are adding Flutter as a plugin, there were many Flutter options listed. So how do you know that this is the Flutter that we are going to go ahead with? For example, when you go to let me say Play Store and you want something, there will be many options of that same thing. Probably there's one original one, or how do you tell? Is it like, yes, I need that. I need that test that I don't pick a wrong one. Yeah, so those are my two questions for now.
Thank you. All right. So, first question, that is a programming language. So if you want to get started with that, I didn't want to begin with that. I'm already teaching that. So also those who didn't know, I have a YouTube channel. I also create content for teaching. So come to YouTube and search Learn It with Muhindo. So if you come Learn It with Muhindo, you click on my channel, my very first channel. It is one channel for now. And then click on playlists. So when you click on playlist, you'll find so many playlists that might be helpful for you. Education playlist. So come here to Flutter Bootcamp 2023. Okay. So click there. I'll give you an introduction to that programming language. So I'll teach you how to no, is it this one? No, it's not this one. Let me show you a playlist. So I'll teach you that programming language beginning from zero. Okay. How to set up that, how to do all that. So I'll teach you that programming language in that tutorial. However, here there are so many videos that you can get started with. If you want to learn web programming, so just simply come to Learn It with Muhindo, click on playlist, and then come and say web for beginners. So this web for beginners, where is it? This yellow one. It has 46 videos. Each video is just like 40 minutes, between 40 minutes and 1 hour. 46 videos. I'll teach you web programming beginning from 0, even if you don't know anything, as long as you can read and write. If you already know web programming, you want to learn advanced web programming, you already know PHP, you want to learn like advanced, you have the advanced web programming. So here I'm teaching you Laravel. I teach you Laravel beginning from 0. So if you want to make a project of web, so if you want to learn advanced web programming, making dashboards, come to this one. It has 41 videos. I teach you how to make web dashboards, systems. I teach you how to make systems with commands. So if you want to learn how to make real application, you already know your Flutter, you want to start making applications. So come, for example, to this complete multi-vendor system. Here I'm teaching you how to create a multi-vendor platform. You can come to this one, Inventor Track. I teach you how to make an inventory management system, it has 47 videos. Here, mastering Flutter user interface, it has 32 videos, so I'm teaching you how to create beautiful user interfaces. So from here, you can get started from any level that you are on and learn beyond what you know. So in simple terms, that is a programming language. Yesterday, I published a video of how you can get started with that, and also give you the I'll give you the link of learning materials of how you can get started with that. It is very simple programming language. For example, to set up that, let me just use 2 minutes to introduce you to that programming language. So to set up that, just simply go ahead and download that. So, or you can just simply come here and say download and install that. Okay, so here you'll find different videos. Even on my own channels, they are there. So go ahead and follow these videos. They're just few videos. They're just like 3 videos. You'll be able to download and install that. So once you have that in your computer, it is very simple to create it. So I mean, it is very simple to learn it. So go ahead and open your terminal, for example. Just terminal, and write that. So you write that, this one will show you that you already have that in your computer. It is very simple. It will not take you even 1 hour to have that installed in your computer. So that you can learn it independently as a programming language, so you can be fluent with that programming language. I've even given you a playlist for learning that. If you come here to my YouTube channel, this tutorial, I have a playlist where I'm teaching you that from 0 up to the beginner level. Now, to get started with that, it is just simple. Just open your Visual Studio Code. Okay, open your Visual Studio Code, and then create, for example, let me create here my one file. So I'm just going to save it. This is just a file. I can save it. Test.dat. All right. So this is my Dart project. Okay, this is my Dart project. So after doing so, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write here. So in that programming language, it is just like C programming language. It is always starting with main. It always starts with main. So the operating system will call this main when it starts creating what? When it starts running this Dart project. So I can just simply say print hello world. So if you already know Java, you already know PHP, this is just like that. So just say print. So by running this Dart file, it will be able to display this word in my in my Flutter. In my console. So I can open console by coming here to terminal, new terminal. Then I'll be able to have here my console. So let me clear everything. So I can go ahead and display what I've just written here. So to do so, you just simply say that. So I'll assume that you've spent your 30 minutes to install that. I believe they'll not even take you 30 minutes. So as you have that, go ahead and put the name of the file that you want to run. So I say test.dat, like this. Alright, so that, it means that it's going to execute this file. So if I press enter, no such file. Alright, let me see which file, let me see which path I'm in. So I'm not in the right path. Let me see. This is under, alright, this one I've put the file in the wrong, in databases. Yeah, then migrations, database migration. So I can cd database and then cd migrations. So by doing so, I'll be now to the migrations. Okay, so I can just simply say that, and then I put the name of the file, which is test.dat. So when I press enter, so you see hello world. So that will mean that we will have get started with that. So I can show you another thing to do with that. For example, I can show a function that prints my name. So I can just simply say say my name. So this is the function whose task will be getting the name. Say my name. So I can give it here a name. So in that, we define variables by putting $sign. So I just do it like that. So it will just simply say print name. So just simply say this one is print thing. That's how I did. Is it one? Alright, so that is how we create that. All right. So it means that, anyway, let me remove this variable here. So it means that I can just simply let me put here string name, yeah, like this. So I can just simply call this function. So instead of printing like this, I can just say my name. So it means that this function I'll be just giving it a name. So I can put here Mohindo Baraka like this. So that is that simple. It is not it's not a hard thing. So if I run my console again, so it means I can just simply run the data. You see, it will be able to display this. So now, if you want to learn that, you see, it is that simple. It's just like PHP. It is just like C programming. It's just like Java. It's just like C++. Now, if you want to learn details of it, you can just simply come to my channel, click on playlist, come to this playlist of this 2022, I think this one. I'll give you a good introduction to that programming language, and I teach you how you can get started with that programming language. However, you can also find a very good syllabus. Let's say that you finish setting up, you want to learn in detail that. You can find a good syllabus from here. Just search, this is the syllabus that I always follow, tutorials point that. Search that, I'll give you this link. So this will give you a very good syllabus with explanation to everything. So it gives you the overview, it gives you now the introduction, the syntax of that, then it starts teaching you with exemplary codes. Learning variables. So this is the one that I always follow. So it has a very good syllabus, and if you give it your time, you really understand. So simply that is a programming language that you're going to use to write Flutter application. It is not hard, it is a simple language. Yeah. So I'll share with you much more details of how you can get started if you actually need to learn these things and start making use of them. All right, so let's have another person. Yes.
In relation to that same question, my confusion came when you are creating the project name. There was a checkbox of Java and Kotlin. You selected Kotlin, which is a language.
I read it. Then okay. Let's first.
Then on the other side, you also selected that. So which one is which? When they clicked,
I did not select that. So in Flutter, you only write that. Let me share my screen again. I explained. I think you'll watch the video again. With that, it is going to write the either Java or Kotlin code. It's not going to. So that is not an optional. Let's create a new project. Okay. Let me come here and create a new project. File, new Flutter project. Yeah, okay, you're right to ask. So you see, I am there, Flutter, app, say next. So here, if you want to write a Flutter plugin, this when you click on plugin and then you go ahead and write the plugin input. So can you see these two things, my brother? You either select Java or Kotlin. Note that is not an option here.
Hey, Malik.
Are we answered?
Malik. First, a second.
So are you answered?
Mubarak, yeah, this is okay. There's when we went to Git. When we went to Git.
Oh, so that's a different thing. Yeah, that's a different thing. So, okay, now let me answer that. So, in GitHub, it has... So with GitHub, it has things that... Okay, when you're creating projects, you always have things that you don't want to expose in public. For example, plugins. Okay, let me answer this in this way so you can understand very clearly. I hope you're attentive, eh? Are you attentive and explain to you this?
Yeah.
All right. So now, when you're creating systems, there are things that are common and are everywhere. For example, what you call vendor files. For example,
This
packages,
one,
etc.
let's look around here.
So those vendor files and packages,
Because
for
you see,
them
I
they are
cannot sit
already
here
on
and tell
internet,
you, this is what I'm
but
offering.
they are always heavy things.
There is
For example, let's say a
the
package
phone,
of a camera.
and then we
It
discuss.
will come with like, let's say 300 MBs. That is heavy, as heavy as 300 MBs. Okay. So you're going to add a package of a camera. It is like 300 MBs. You're going to have a package of Bluetooth. It's just like 200 MBs. You're going to add a package of maybe a torch. It's just like 200 MBs. So you find that in packages that you're going to add in your application, they are going to be like 1 GB. Okay. Let me show you something here. Let me just share my screen again. So you'll find that a folder of packages is just as heavy as 1 GB. Okay. But let me show you. Let me open here one of the project. But you'll know that if you realize that these packages, when you're adding them, we are adding them while they are already on what? On internet, because every package that you add, you're getting it from what? From internet. It's just adding more capabilities on your what? On your mobile application. So these packages are always hidden. I hope you can see my screen. So these packages are always hidden. They always start with dot. Okay. Now, why do you want to push like 1 GB to your repository, yet these packages are already on internet? So to do that, for example, now let me show you, for example, the packages of Flutter. We always install them in a folder called vendor. Let me show you here. In a vendor folder, in this build folder. So you'll find that those packages are as heavy as 1 GB. So why would you want, for example, you see this one is 2 GB. You see, this project has grown. Its build folder is 2 GB. So this build folder is where we put APKs and the rest. This is a project that has spent like 4 years while you're working on it. So its vendor folder, its build folder is like 2 GB. So why would you push all these 2 GBs to the internet, to your repository? Why would you put like 5 GB to your repository? So to do that, it is not good to push this one. You only push the code. The code is always in this lib folder. So, okay, there are also other secret files like a certificate for your application. You might not, for example, this one, JKS file. You might not need to push it on internet because for security issues. So what do you need? You need to push only the code. So another person, when they are installing your app, or when there are people they are going to contribute to your code, they only download things that you have actually written, and then they run pub-get. So the pub-get will get the packages from internet and download them in their respective computers, while your application remain light. For example, this is now the real application. It is just 2 MBs. So I've spent like 4 years only writing 2 MBs. The real code is here. It is 2 MBs. But if you go to the entire system, you see this whole system. This is the system. It is just like it is 4 GBs, okay? While the code that you have actually written is just only 2 MBs. So Git, you have to tell it, hey, when you're pushing these things on repository, don't push everything. Push things that are only important. For example, packages, build files, don't push them. So to tell that one to GitHub, when you're creating a new repository, you do it here. So you do it here. So when you're creating a new repository, you enter its name, you enter its what. So you tell it. So it creates a file called git ignore. So you tell it here the project that you're working with. So if you're creating a C++ project, say I'm creating a C++ project. So Git will GitHub, and Git will already know, will know the files that are always obsolete, that someone can download on internet, that are not supposed to be pushed on a repository. When you specify it is a C++ project. So if you're creating a PHP project, you can just specify it is PHP project. So it should create a relevant what? A relevant git ignore that it should not push on what? On internet. So we have that. So this is why I selected that. So when I selected that, GitHub will know that, hey, that things that are inside the build, things that are inside this dot whatever, they are not supposed to be pushed on internet, because another person can get them from internet. So your package will smartly be organized. Your application, it will be light. So when your colleagues are downloading it, or even you when you're downloading it again, it is not 4 GB. It is only 2 MBs that you actually wrote. Then when you run install, it will go ahead and download those packages that are already on internet and install them on your computer. So to finalize that, if I come, yeah, I think I'm answering you. So if I to finalize that, you'll see that this is our project. We did not create this file called git ignore. So this git ignore, it is a GitHub file that specifies the files that should not be pushed on internet. So if you're creating a Flutter project, so it says, so GitHub is the one when you say that we are creating a that project, it always said, okay, so let me just ignore the following files. .class, I'll never create .class, I'll never push .pyc, so it created this one. So for example, .idea, it is another heavy folder that has packages just. Things like .pub, this pub is just a package, they are packages that you get on internet. Pub cache, these are packages. Build, I showed you build. These are build things that you build as APKs that in my project I showed you that they are already 4 MB, 4 GB. So if I remove this build folder here, so what does it mean? It means that everything that I build, the other 4 GBs that I showed you, they will be pushed to the internet. And the system will be slow, the upload will be slow, even your contributors, when they'll start downloading the application, it will be heavy, they will give up even, okay? So that's why you need to specify that I'm building a Flutter project or a Dart project, so GitHub can go ahead and generate for you a git ignore file that will be relevant to your respective project, and your project will be as optimal as possible to only push the things that are only important. I hope I've answered your question.
Very well, Mubarak. Thank you so much.
All right, welcome. All right, Musin.
Thank you. Mine was actually on that very. So after selecting that, I was just asking what license is selected there. Do we leave it as none, or
you can leave it? You can leave it as none.
After on the GitHub repository creation.
Yeah, you can leave it as none.
Is that license down there, the last?
Yeah, you can leave it as none.
Asking what license should be selected, or do we leave it as none?
All right. Thank you. You can leave it as none. You can leave it as none. I don't know too much more about those license things. MIT, whoever, you can do your own research, but you leave it as none. If you want your code, there is a license where you want your code to be free, available for everyone to be able to use. So there are those licenses. Let me go ahead and be like creating a new project. However, you can do your own research. I will not lie you. I don't know much more about that license. They have their meaning. However, they don't affect your code. This is just about how available your code is, how you want to supply to other people. There's a Apache license, so you can go ahead and read those things. However, you can leave it as none. It has no effect on your repository. Only these are just about, and most repositories are always private, so they're always private, so no one will access them unless it is public. Yep, so may I always leave it as none. However, you can go ahead and do much more research about it. Can we have more questions? Let me check in the chat. Yeah, let's have more questions because we are going now to start your business. If you can do this session for questions so people can understand things properly, it will be great. Yeah. We have more questions? Yeah, so if we have no more questions, so I would say just this will be just a motivation to everyone. Flutter is yes. You have a question? Yes, please.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I've been talking about pushing, but I didn't understand what exactly you mean in software development.
Thank you. So as I told you, I'll not take you too much in detail, but let me answer that. So in GitHub, let me first tell you a story of GitHub. So let's assume that you are 10 people working on one particular software. Okay? So how are you going to be sharing your code? Let me just ask you as a question, so then I can answer you properly. Who asked the question? You can open your microphone.
Patrick Odong.
Yes, Mr. Odong, have you ever worked on any software where you're working in more than 5 people on the same project?
No.
Not yet. Okay, that's
not.
All right. Okay. Now, in software development, in software, where you're going, that's why I always like to share these techniques with people, so that you don't learn only to pass, but you learn even to be able to fit in the real world industry. So, where we are all heading, everyone here, we are heading to corporate world where you're going to work, for example, with MTN mobile application. So you're not going to be the only developer. You're going to be like 10 people or 5 people or 3 people working on the same project. So now, if you're working on the same project, let's say that Odong, you'll work only on creating the home page, another one will work on the About Us page, another one will work on the contact page. Those are 3 different pages. But all of them, they're going to be in one particular project. So the question comes, now how are you going to put your code together? Yet this project, maybe you're going to do it for maybe 30 days. How are you going to make sure that your code you have not repeated what someone is supposed to do? You've not repeated what you've done, another person is able to get it. Will you use Google Drive in a way that every time you contribute, you compile, or maybe you upload your code? So it means that every time someone will have to download your code and embed in theirs. It will be very complicated, trust me. So GitHub, it came to solve that problem. So Git, in simple terms, you create your code or you create your project and put it together. So another person will download that project and becomes what we call a contributor. So when you make changes, I'm going to demonstrate because and I can now relate to the level of some of our colleagues are. So when you make changes, let's say that you've created, maybe you say that the color that you're going to use is going to be red. So what you'll do, you'll first confirm that yes, the change that I've made, I'm sure of them. You'll confirm and then do what you call push. So you push those changes. So when you push those, you confirm, and you confirm them by doing what you call commit. So commit is a confirmation that the changes that I've made, they are okay. So when you finish, you push. So pushing means that you're sending your changes to the GitHub software or to the GitHub central system. So GitHub will receive these changes and add them to the code that all of you are working on. So your colleague on the other side, when they want to get the changes of, maybe let's say that you're working 10 on the same project. So when you want to get the changes of all other 9 people that have done, he will do what you call pull. So pull will get the changes that everyone has done and pull them into his local repository. So that is what is meant by push and pull. Give me 5 minutes only and I demonstrate to you this concept of GitHub so you can understand it very well. Now, GitHub, as I told you, is a platform. You can find it on github.com. All of you, you're going to learn it. I'll give you a video. I've already even created a video for GitHub just that explains GitHub in detail. Just come to YouTube and go ahead and search GitHub, learn it with Muhino. So you'll find there a video. I've created videos, you see, Git and GitHub. It explains GitHub very well from zero. So these 2 videos, there is this one and this one. It gives you like a complete explanation. However, you go ahead and watch that video so you can understand, because this is a component. Without it, you're not a developer, in simple terms. Okay? You will need it. It's a tool. So let me explain now GitHub. So first of all, GitHub is on internet. It has a centralized database that is on internet. Okay? So you see this, I'm in my browser. This is my Google Chrome. So I go to GitHub. This is a website. So it is on internet. So I want us to understand this is on internet. So I'll create there my account. Okay? After creating my account, it means that I can now be able to start putting there my things. So I'm going to create now a project called Learn GitHub. So to create a project, I come back to my computer. Let me show you. So you should differentiate the two. This is GitHub. This is my computer. I repeat, this is GitHub on internet. This is my computer, my local machine. Now, I'm going to create a project called Odongo Hotel. Okay, it is a website or web project called Odongo Hotel. So what I'm going to do, I'll just simply come here and say new folder. So I'll come here to my local host. Remember, this is a computer. I told you this is my computer, just like though you can have your computer. So I come here to where I always host my systems. I come here and create a new folder. New folder. This is just like a normal computer. I create what we call Odongo Hotel. Right? This is we're going to create a system for Odongo's Hotel. So this is a folder. It is nothing but a folder, my brother. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to open this folder in Visual Studio Code. I believe all of us, we know Visual Studio Code. So I open this folder so I can be able to do what? I can be able to edit. I can be able to add their things. So I come, this is my Visual Studio Code. I come and drag and drop this Odongo Hotel in my Visual Studio Code. So I can be able to add their files. So I go ahead and add my first file, which is index.html. Index.html. Alright. So I want to show you how multiple people can work together. So using GitHub. So here, I go ahead, I say, I come here and put maybe a CSS file, CSS maybe style.css. Alright, so I come here and just simply create my HTML. Alright. So I want to understand these things. So I just simply create my HTML structure there. So alright, so this is just a HTML structure, okay? Sorry, I have to push this one here. Alright, it's okay. This is just a HTML structure. It has Odongo Hotel. Odongo Hotel. Welcome to Odongo Hotel. It has home, about us, services that we offer, and contact us. And then it has welcome to Odongo Hotel, enjoy, whatever. Let me open this one in my browser, okay, to see how it looks like. So I can just simply come and say localhost and say Odongo Hotel. I just want us to understand the concept of HTML. Alright, so that is our Odongo Hotel web page. It's just a simple page that has a home page, about us, services that we offer, and then contact us. Alright, so now this Odongo Hotel, we want to style it, okay? We want someone to style it. So one is a developer. Let's take it like this. This Muhindo Mbarak is a developer. His task is just to create the what? The home page. I mean the HTML. Then another person is a designer. His task is to create different colors to make it look beautiful, add pictures and the rest. So one is Uganda, another one is in Kenya. So how are they going to put all these things together? Okay. So to do so, we need GitHub. So this is a project that I've just created, and I'm going to add it on my GitHub. So my another person will be able to add some more information to it. Odongo, I hope you are together. Are we still together? I hope you're not confused yet.
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, you're getting me. So now we want to be able to add another person in Kenya to start contributing to our project. So I'll go ahead. I come to GitHub. I come to the folder. So when I'm registering this for the first time. So here, remember everything that I'm doing here is on my computer. Yes.
Mubarak.
Yes, doctor.
I'm stepping out of the. You can continue. Cover the time. I have another urgent meeting.
All right, you can give your closing remarks to them, sir. It's fine. You can give the closing
students,
remarks.
those who are supposed to present the. Yeah. Yeah, so you optimize the time, then they also are supposed to present, they present next week.
That's fine, sir. I'm answering the important questions. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, doctor. Members, I hope you've had. So let's use this time to answer your questions. So I'll go ahead. I'll also take attendance. So you stay on call. I'll take attendance towards the end. So I'll go ahead and create. I'm creating now Odongo Hotel on GitHub. Remember, let me cancel this. This is still on my local machine. I go ahead and drag and drop my GitHub folder. I mean my folder. So it is a new repository. It is a new folder. We don't know it. I say you create it as a what? As a repository. So they'll ask me how I want to call it. I want to call it Odongo Hotel. Okay. I go ahead and create it. So I've created it. But it is still on my computer. I have not published it online. So I need to publish it. So to publish it, I'll just click on Publish Repository. So it will ask me to set up how I want this repository to be online. So if I want to keep it private, maybe only for company, people only, I can say private. If I want to make it available for everyone, I can say make it available. Okay? So I can say make it available to public and then say publish. So when I say publish, so GitHub is going to push this thing on internet. So by the time it finishes processing here, it will have published this thing on internet. That's what we call pushing. All right. So I've published it. So it is done. You see, it is done. It is done. So wherever is on internet, I mean whoever is on internet right now, even if you're doing right now, you open your phone or your computer, and then you go to and search for github.com/ my username. My username is Mubahood, and you click there. Remember, I made it public. You'll be able to see my most latest. Click on repository. You'll be able to see my most latest repository. Now this is internet now. It is now online. So my most latest repository, you'll be able to see it. Let it load. It's a bit slower. You'll be able to see it listed there. Hey, why is it so slow? So you see Odongo Hotel. It is a HTML project and it is public. And I click on it and get details. All right. So it means that now we are able to access our code. If I click on it, I'll be able to see everything that I have in my code here. Right. So it means that now we are able to access the HTML that we created. It is now online. This is that we created, it is now online. Okay? And the last commit is this one, our commit. So it means that we can add another person. If I had to add another person, I'll just simply come here to settings of this particular project and then go ahead and say collaborators. You see here, collaborators. I can go ahead and invite. So I'll put here my password to confirm that I'm the one. I can go ahead and invite another person. So if I invite you, if you already have an account of GitHub, I can be able to invite you. If I invite you, it means that I'll have given you a permission to be able to edit my project. All right? To be able to edit my project. So once you have my other access to the project, what you'll do. So I've taught you two things. I've taught you pushing, which is sending to internet. Another thing is called committing. Committing means you're saving the changes. So what Odongo you'll do, you'll go ahead and clone. Clone means you're downloading the repository and have it on your computer. So it means that this repository is, so I can add here another person. You see, I can add here a collaborator. I can add here another person. So, let's say my computer is lost. Someone has stolen my computer. Let's say this project was deleted. Okay, so I'm showing the advantage of GitHub. So, let me say this project was deleted. Okay, let me delete it right now and I show you. I delete it. So it is no longer on my computer. So if I come here, you see it is not even on GitHub. They have warned me it is gone. Now, I want it back. Or maybe another person wants it. Or maybe my collaborator wants it. He will do what we call another terminology that we call cloning. Cloning means getting a copy of a project that is already on GitHub and have it on your computer. That's what we call cloning. So you'll have to clone that project. So let's say your computer was stolen. Maybe you have 3 computers. You want to have those projects in those 3 different computers. You'll have to clone it first. For example, we have deleted the project. Okay? But we want it back. So you'll just simply come here to the repository link. which is GitHub stroke Mubahood stroke Odong Hotel. I copy the link and then come here to my GitHub software and go ahead and say file clone repository. Clone repository. I go ahead and want to clone by the link. I put there the link of the repository that I want. You see, it is this one. And then suggest where you want to save it on my computer. And I say clone. So if I have another person in Kenya who want to contribute on this particular project, this is what they will do because they don't have them on your computer. If I had two computers, I would have demonstrated this. Okay? So I'm cloning it now. And then say clone. So when I say clone, it will process, it will download a project and have it again. Or if it is not on your computer, and have it on your computer. So right now I can give you a task. Can you clone this project? You just go to GitHub and paste there your link. You'll have it cloned. And you can see that my Odongo Hotel project is somehow back. It is here. It is back. I can open it again with what? I can open it with Visual Studio Code. Let me open it with Visual Studio Code. And you'll see every code that we had, it has come back. It means that even the other person who is in Kenya, they'll be able to get again the code that we shall have added there. So now if my task is styling, I'll have an access to every code. So I can just simply go ahead and say all the H1s should have. So I'll just go to my respective file. I can even add more files. So I can say all the H1. So I can say all the H1 should have a background color of red. So this is me, a designer now. Let's say that I started, maybe another person, the other person who created the real project was a what? Was a developer who was working on the front end. Now maybe the designer, I'm working only on the styling. So I'm styling. I'm working on the same project. I'm not touching everything. I'm only working on the same project. So I style, I make maybe background color red and say maybe color, the text color to be white. Alright, white. So let me go ahead and import this one. So you see, I get the code of my collaborator. I don't need to download it. I don't need to, I just go ahead and get the code of my collaborator. I can add there what I want. So for example, I can add here a comment and say, importing CSS, my code. So once, if let's say that I'm a person in Kenya now, I can go ahead and test the project and see if they are working. So if I come here and refresh, I'll see the project is working. But remember, I did not write all these things. I just only wrote those two things. I added the other line in style and added the comment there. So let's say that was my task only. Let's say that you are 50 people. Another person has to work on the home page. Another person has to work on their borders page. They will do only their tasks only. So when I finish my task, if I come back here to GitHub project, let's say I've finished my task. I come back to GitHub here. GitHub will be smart enough to detect. Now this is where it becomes interesting, and that's what makes it unique. I want you to understand very well. GitHub will be smart enough to detect the files that have changed. I repeat, even if we have 1,000 files, GitHub will be smart enough to detect the files that have changed. Secondly, it will not stop to detect the files that have changed. It will be able even to detect the lines that actually changed. That's why you see changes here. We touched two lines. In fact, you say that you changed the style. It did not rub other person things, but you said you changed the style, and it shows you the things that you added in the styles. It will also come here and show you that you also changed somewhere in the index, and it show you that you added this comment in the index. So even if this file is too big, you see this file is having so many things, but it is showing us only the place that we changed. So that is how smart GitHub is. So it means that if my contributions are only to do these things only, it means that I say I'm done. So I don't need again to get the whole folder of the project, put on flash disk and send, Google Drive. No, I don't need to do that. So I just need to write here my comment. I say what I've done. So let's say maybe it's the end of the day, I finished the day. I want to save my things at once. So I'll come here and put the comment and explain what you have actually done. So maybe I can say created CSS and added some comment. You can just write anything, okay? So after doing so, I'll do what we call now committing. Committing means that you are sure you are meaning what you've just done. So I commit. So after committing, I go ahead and do what we call push. So I push. So when I'm pushing, it's going to send these things to the internet so that my colleague can do what they call fetching or what we call pulling and get all the updates that I will have done. It will not change anything. It will only bring things that I actually changed. So the other colleagues, if we go, for example, if we go back to the repository or Odongo Hotel, we shall be able to see the files. If, for example, let me say I add here, for example, about us file. Let me show another thing. Let me say we went ahead and added maybe an about us file. I'll just simply come here and say new about us .html. So you see the beauty. It is not, we don't need again to download, save what. I just add like normal. I can just go ahead and say simple about us HTML page. Alright, so this copilot write for me some about us page. So this is about us page. Alright, so I can go ahead and go back. I accept it. I can go ahead and go back to the home page and add here this one to be stroke about us, so it can be a link, for example. So if I come here and refresh, I can go ahead and click on about us. You see, suppose, let me remove this / refresh. Sorry, it's supposed to be about us.html. Yeah, so let's go back, refresh. So you see, I can click on about us. You see, I've created about us. So the beauty is I don't need again to zip this folder, this whole project, and saying that I've added this. I just only need to do what you call committing. So you can even commit within Visual Studio Code. You just need to log in here on your GitHub. You log in. Once you log in with your GitHub, you can do everything within Visual Studio Code. I write my comment. I added about us page and updated the navigation link. So if we are like 20 people working on the same project, everyone will be able to know what another person did with simplicity. By just pulling, you'll be able to get all the changes without downloading the whole project. I commit. After committing, I sync. Sync means publishing, means pushing in the language of GitHub. So if I come back, when it finishes pushing, if I come back to our repository, where is it? Here. And no, it's not this one. Where is it? Then come here to our repositories. Odongo Hotel. So you see, it was last updated 2 minutes ago. So it means that it's still syncing. Okay. Let me see here. It's syncing slowly. Let's use GitHub to sync it. GitHub software. I just simply come and say sync it. So it has finished syncing. If I come and refresh here, this is online version. So you see, about us. And even the last time it was changed, you see, about the comment that was done. So you can even view this from internet. So it means that Odongo, from wherever you are right now, you can go ahead and clone. Now when I say clone, you now understand. And clone my project and add your contribution and push. Me, I'll just pull, I'll get your contribution without downloading the whole project. So it means that you can be 50 people working on the same project in the same time while you are able to see what everyone is doing. And that's the whole idea of GitHub. However, it's not whole. We have things like branches and so let's say that you maybe another person did an error. We are not interested in their code. We can, so you see here, we have history. You can be able to see how things have been changing with time. Who did what? Who did it? So if you're Odongo, you add something and you push it and I pull it, I'll be able to see that it is Odongo who did this particular thing. If I want to revert back, let's say that maybe we did a mistake, want to go back maybe to previous version, I can go ahead and check out to this version and goes our code and brings our code back without deleting the current code. So that's the whole idea of GitHub. is the way how you collaborate. For example, your assignments, you'll be just pushing them on GitHub, and they'll be able to be viewing your code on GitHub. So that's the whole point of GitHub. You're able to do all things in one place, in same time, with the optimal way. Many people on the same project in a much more optimal way, without changing everything, without downloading everything, by only changing only what you have actually changed. You can go forward, you can go backward by use of what? Of commit history. So, in conclusion, we look at creating a new repository. We look at what called committing. Committing means you're saving your changes. We look at what called pushing. Pushing, it means that you're sending your changes from your computer to the internet or to your fellow collaborators. We look at another word called cloning. Cloning means you're creating a project that is already on the internet and have it on your machine. We look at another word, pulling. Pulling means you're fetching whatever new updates that have come from your collaborators to come to you to your machine. So I believe everyone now has a good idea of what is meant by what? By GitHub and how it works. Odong, are you happy now?
Quite happy. I'm very happy, really.
Oh, you're getting the idea. Very good. That's very good, sir. So when you watch my videos, I'm coming to you. So when you watch my videos, you practice. Trust me, these things are already there. So I've showed you my channel. It has all levels of where you can start from. When you watch these videos and practice, trust me, you'll be able to see that there's a lot that you needed to learn that can actually help you to maybe they can even like make you see what you have not been seeing in these things of programming. All right, let's have Benjamin. Thank you, Odong, for that question, and I believe some people have borrowed a leaf of what is actually meant by GitHub. Yes, Benjamin.
Thank you, Mubarak. That was so helpful and given me much insight to GitHub as a novice on GitHub. I have two questions. You talked of cloning. I understood cloning. The pulling actually cloning since you're getting people's changes? Is it the same thing?
So let me answer that on fly. All right. So pull, just the terminologies. Cloning, you're installing or you're downloading the project for the very first time. You're cloning it. Pulling, you're doing it every day. When you expect your colleagues have made some changes, you have to pull and see if they have done something. Pulling, you do it every day. Cloning, you do it once, only when you're doing what? When you're cloning, when you're downloading the project for the first time.
Okay, that is more clear. And then the second one, you talked of branches. Could you just give us a highlight of what are actually branches? Because I happen to work in a company, and sometimes we have to collaborate with the developers, and I hear them speaking of branches, and it keeps confusing me. So this is an opportunity for me to. Yeah.
All right, let me use like 5 minutes to explain branches. Now, okay, so branches, I'll first give you the overview idea, and then I give you different scenarios of how you can use branches. So branches, just like the way they sound, they are branches. We have a main repository, the main branch, what we call main branch, the real code, the first code, the backbone of code. Now you can have branches where you get a copy of code and put it aside and put it separately, and then you'll be working on that code. Okay? So you can use branches in different scenarios. The first scenario is like this. Let's say that we are developing a school management system. We are 10 people, but we want to have accountability of everyone. Don't want to mix things. So what we may do, we can say, Muhindo, create your own branch and be doing your things at your own branch. Daniel, create your own branch, do your things at own branch. Odong, you create your own branch, do your own things at your own branch. So these people will create branches. So Odongo will write his own things and have them on his own branch. And Muhindo will do his own things and have them on his branch. So once you do all these branches, once you have these branches separately, you can decide one day, you say, okay, now let us put these branches together. We want now to get Odongo's contribution and put them to the main branch. Okay? So that process of putting the branches in the main branch is what we call merging. So you can merge the branch. Let me demonstrate it. So this is a repository that we have just created. Okay? This is a repository, Odongo Hotel. So we can say, Odongo is a junior. Let him do. Let's say this is our main website of Odongo Hotel. Okay. The main website. Let's say Odongo Hotel is a very popular website. Like Serena. But we don't need to break things before we do what? We test them. Okay? So we can say, Odongo, since you're a new developer, create your own what? Your own branch. And work on that. So before we put your contribution to the main website, we'll first review them. So Odongo will come here and say new branch. Okay? So when you say new branch, we'll give it a name. Odongo branch. Alright? Odongo branch. So this Odongo branch, it is a code, just as it sounds, it is a code that has been copied from the main branch and kept on the Odongo branch. So whatever Odongo does, even if he push, it is not going to affect the main branch. So if I click here, you see we have two branches. Two branches. We have Odongo's branch and the whatever branch. So Odongo might be having an idea. So this is now, so what I'm doing right now, so you have published this Odongo's branch. So whatever I'm doing right now, it is going to go on Odongo's branch. So Odongo, for him, he may think that maybe the background color of this should be what? Should be blue. So we can just simply go here to the styles. So for him, he may say, I think the background color should be blue, not red. So Odongo will go ahead and say blue. So he saves on his branch. So whatever he's doing, he's not going to affect the main branch. It's not going to affect the main website, even if we pull. And he pushes. So whatever he does, it will be on his own branch. So if we come here to the main website, it is not going to change. Sorry, this one is going to change for Odongo's site. But if someone is working on the main website, it is going to remain as it is. So if you see here, if I come and open the CSS file, the CSS file is still what? Is still red. Why? Because this is the main branch. So if we want to check Odongo's branch, I can just simply come here and say refresh. We want to see what Odongo has done. So come to view branches. Sorry. We come here and select Odongo's branch. It's now online. We see Odongo proposed that the branch should be the what? The background color should be blue. So Odongo's idea, in simple terms, he can put them on his branch. Odongo's contributions, he can put them on his branch. Every day he works. So now the senior supervisor can come and say, okay, let me look at Odongo's contribution. A senior supervisor can pull the changes, and then we have what we call checkout. I don't know whether you're noting these things down. He can check out. Check out means you're switching the branches. He can just check out to Odongo's branch. Even if it's on another computer, he can check out and see what Odongo has done, what has actually contributed. So let's do another thing here. So let's create another branch called Muhindo's branch. Let's say another Muhindo is maybe another developer based in Kenya. So now we have two branches. Now when I'm creating a new branch, they'll ask me, you want to benchmark from which branch? You want to benchmark from the main branch, or you want to benchmark from Odongo's branch? Like I say, maybe main branch. So it means that it will get for me the code of main branch to create for me my own branch. So like I say, Odongo's branch. So it means that you get Odongo's branch to create for me a code for my own branch. So I can let me pull from the main and say Muhindo's branch. I can call it even Muhindo. So it means that now the code that I'm going to do is going to be on Muhindo's branch. So for me, instead of having, so you see, since I'm pulling from main branch was red. So even automatically the Visual Studio Code will come to red. Remember, Odongo had put blue. So since I'm on, so you see this one is red. Let me show you something here. So you see this is red right now. Let me see if you can change even branches. So if you just do code, if you're logged in, you can even switch branches. So you see, I come here, I say branch, I'm switching to, for example, to Odongo's branch. I've already published this branch. So let me come here, I say branches, I switch to Odongo's branch. Where is switch? We call it checkout. We call it checkout. So I check out to Odongo's branch. So you see, Odongo for him, he said blue. So all the code is there, but everyone, their code, they're on the respective things. So I can say, let me go back to what? To Muhindo's branch. So right now, whatever I'm doing is now in Odongo's code, in Odongo's branch. So I can say, no, let me go back to where? To Muhindo's branch. So let me come here. Okay, before I go to Muhindo's branch, let me come and say, come here in the main code. I just come here and say, I put here, maybe my H3, I say contribution by Odong. All right, I save, I publish my changes. So this is the Odongo branch. I publish. So I let me check out to Muhindo's branch. I come to Muhindo's branch. I come here. So you see, when I come to Muhindo's branch, since Muhindo is working with a separate thing, I cannot see even the other word that Odongo written. Okay? So I can put here my H4. I say contribution by Muhindo. I can maybe even style it and give it color green. Maybe Muhindo likes green. Okay, I can go even in style and change this one from red to green, something like that. Green. So that is Muhindo, what he has done. So once he commits and he push. So what are you seeing here? Muhindo is working on his own branch and Odongo is working on his own branch. The main branch is not being affected, meaning that the main website is not being affected. So imagine now if he didn't have GitHub. So it will be hard to contribute. People would confuse things. All right. So you see, the main branch is not actually changing. All right. Now, one day we wake up, we say, okay, now we need to get Muhindo's contributions. Maybe Muhindo has created more 10 pages, or Odongo has created more 10 different designs. We need now to put them together. So that process is what we call merging. So to merge, I'll just simply come here and say, so I come to the main, let's say I want to merge Odongo's contribution to the main branch. So I come to the main branch, I check out the main branch, and then come here and say merge to main. Okay, so choose, you see here there's a button called merge. Okay, choose branch, merge into main. So since I'm main, they said it is here. When I click here, it is down here. So they ask me to choose a branch that I would like to merge with main, since I'm in main. So if I say merge into main, so I can say I want Odongo's contribution. I select Odongo contribution and I say merge. So there are sometimes we have things that we call conflicts. You may need to resolve. I say, okay, maybe let's say Muhindo and Odongo have same changes. So you can cause conflicts, then you decide which code you should take. So I create a merge. So once I merge, I can push, all right, merge. So since I've merged and I've pushed my merge, so it means that Odongo's code is now same as what? As the main code. I've put Odongo's, I hope you also, that word you have also noted it, merging. You'll note it down also. It means that I've put Odongo's code into the main branch code. So if I come here to our main, if I come now to GitHub and I refresh, remember we are in main. If I come this GitHub and refresh, if you come back, you see contribution by Odongo. But you know this one has come from the merge. So it means that now even our style in the main was red. Now Odongo, it means that I've agreed Odongo's contribution to be blue. Something like that. So it means that we can do the same with Muhindo's contribution. So if I come now here and refresh, I'll be able to see that. Even here in the code, you can be able to see. So that's what we call merging. So everything that you do, you have a way to undo it. You know, even if you close the computer after 30 days, we say maybe Odongo's code came with error, people are complaining, we can still go back and say, okay, want to go back here, you just say go back and say check out to this. So it will ignore what came before that and make you go to your previous base code. That is the advantage of GitHub. So you can be able to go back even to the previous code. So everything is being saved. And you'll be able to see whatever. So if I come here, I can be able to know even who wrote what. You see here, it is me. So if it's another person who did it, I'll be able to see it was another person who did it. So there is no, that is very hard if you're not using GitHub to identify who wrote which particular line, whose line came with errors, something like that. So now, lastly, that is how we do with GitHub. That's how we're able to collaborate together. So I've already shown you how you can add a collaborator. You can even create two GitHub accounts and try to test the collaboration part. It means that different people can work on the same particular project. If a mobile app, you can do the same thing.
One last question.
But did you understand that?
Yes, very, very well. There's more clarity on it. That one I've understood.
All right. Ask.
Okay. Mubarak, there are two questions in relation to what you've just said. When you went to that drop down of checkout, for example, if you want to revert or roll back a change that someone's branch made, there were two options. There was checkout and revert. Do they do the same thing? Because there was checkout up, then there was revert. That was question one. Then question two about conflicts. Is it possible for us to get one line of code, like maybe in your demo, we get one line of code, we change it from two different branches and see how we can handle conflicts? Because I'm sure in the projects that we are going to do, we may have a lot of conflicts, and how do we resolve them?
So that's the homework for you. I'm not teaching GitHub, I'm teaching Flutter today. That's a homework. But GitHub is a very interesting thing. Very interesting. Yeah, so GitHub questions, they are now closed. I've given you enough insights. You can search on internet, you can test. It is a free software, you don't need to pay a coin. You can do all these things. So that's a homework for you. Go and start from there, my brother. All right, let's have Mohsin, Ivan. You can ask all your questions and we answer them today. Ivan, please, open the microphone.
Yes, thank you, sir. The sharing has been very insightful, and it has helped me familiarize myself with the terms. Initially, I didn't know that I could actually use this tool, because being used to the command line, I realized that like what my colleague is asking about conflicts, usually it's like going back in time. When you use the git log, you're able to see who pushed the changes, and then you can always roll back depending on the log. The log, because the log brings the person's ID of the person who pushed the commit, and then you're able to track, and then maybe go back to the changes where the project maybe is working, or you just keep the changes and you delete certain things. So my question is, there are times when, for example, someone is trying to push code, and then you can't push, and then you're sharing files that has already been worked on. So how do you trace, or how do you put up a mechanism such that you as a team collaborator, you don't share or push the same code? Yeah, that is my question.
All right, thank you. I will not answer so much questions of GitHub because it's a Flutter thing. GitHub is just a bonus, by the way. So if I can help on that, first of all, GitHub, before you push, you must pull, because it does not need to have conflicts online. Conflicts have to be offline, so you can, they have to be local, so you can decide on what you want to do. If you want to decide to delete your code or to overwrite, to decide which code you should take. So that's why it always asks you to first pull. Then after pulling, if there's any conflict, you can resolve it and then push. So me always resolve my conflicts in the Visual Studio Code. So conflicts always come when you have multiple collaborators and they change things that you have already changed offline. Let's say that I'm working on a particular file on a particular line, and another person works on the particular file on a particular line. Then this person pushes before me, and for me, I've committed, I've not pushed mine. So it means that we have conflict. The other person had worked on the particular line, and I've also worked on the particular line, in that particular line, but the person has pushed, me have not pushed. So that's what we call conflicts. So it is you to decide. With Visual Studio Code, you have a place where you just say, accept changes from remote. It means that you're accepting the changes from your another person to overwrite yours. Then there's another option that says, accept the changes from your name, the name of the repository. That means the local version. Then mean that you decline another person's contribution and maintain yours. And then there's another third option that said accept both. When you say accept both, it means that you want to have his contribution and your contribution in the same file or in the same line. So that's how you can handle conflict. So you do this only when you're doing what? When you're pulling. So for me, I use the interfaces. I use the GitHub itself, software, and also GitHub for desktop, and I also use the Visual Studio Code to resolve those changes. Yeah, so I'll not demonstrate the conflicts because it needs two different accounts. I'll not demonstrate that today. However, you can always start from there. All right, Bukenya. And we also need a lady to ask something or say something. So ladies, prepare also. How do I have gender balance? Okay. Yes, Bukenya, go ahead, please.
Mine is around the software development life cycle methodologies. The way you explained conflicts and the rest, it more or less relates to the agile programming where you have iterations. And the way you can handle conflicts is, and this is a question, in GitHub, do you have capabilities of defining the iteration, like the stage at which the development is, such that the other people I'm working with, like the teams, are able to at least track and see the progress, such that they can they can catch up based on my percentage of development or my stage of development. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too. First of all, GitHub does not go beyond much more up to development cycles or processes. It handles files only, so you can develop a policy before someone changes something. You should first do this under your company. Before you do this, first do this. Before after doing this, always push. Every day you must push. Maybe after 2 hours you must push something that you must come up with a policy at your own company on how you can handle avoiding double work, avoiding repetition of things, avoiding deletion of something that has already done. So you can come up with a policy. GitHub does not go beyond that. I'm not aware that it goes beyond up to the point of limiting you. Okay, you should not change this because it has been locked, because you're using this particular methodology or process. No, it does not go up to that level. It just gives you ability to tell you it is so and so who changed this particular thing on this day, on this time. It's able to do that. Even tell you the line that was actually changed and the line that was there before. GitHub is able to do that. It enables you to revert back, even going back, even in future, redo and undoing things of that were saved in different commits. So it will be up to you, to your company, to go ahead and come up with a policy of how your workers or team should work to avoid duplication and maybe complication of sort. But GitHub does not do that, as far as I know. It just gives you platform. and then a policy of avoiding conflicts, it can be up to you. Yeah. Let's have more questions so we can use these remaining hours for questions so people can have a better picture of what we are doing. However, you can ask more Flutters because we are in Flutter thing now. Members, I hope you're picking. I hope you're understanding things, eh?
Yes, please, we are.
That is beautiful. All right, let's have a lady. Gender balance. You can say anything. You can even say thank you if you are happy with learning, or you can give a review. You can give a comment. Any lady, like two ladies, and we call it a day.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mubarak. It has been so resourceful. Actually, while you're even talking, I did the installations and the likes. I really followed. Thank you. Follow again with YouTube. Somehow you're so fast. But then the good thing you've given us the YouTube channel to follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Jacinta for being proactive. Yeah, that's the way to go. You never know. You never know this can be your first step of learning programming after going through all those things that you tried. Trust me, this programming is very, very simple. So as you're waiting for the final lady to give her review, comment, or question, I would like to just give you a 2 minutes overview of these programming things. If you're interested, let me just use 2 minutes, and then we shall have maybe a last gender balance lady to give us a final comment, and then we call it a day. First of all, these programming things are doable. They are really, really doable, but it depends on the environment that you are in. For example, if you don't have someone who tells you about GitHub, it is very hard for you to know that even GitHub exists. You can even just know it's just a mere software, yeah. But GitHub is very, very important. It is very important, just not only for collaboration, even for you yourself, in a way that if your computer is lost today, even after 5 years, you will be able to retrieve back your code. For your CV, to prove that you've done something, you can also add your GitHub. So, why am I saying so? I'm saying so because of showing you that learning programming is all about the people that surrounds you, the environment. Another thing, programming is not hard. It is simple if you like it, because everything is a procedure. And we should know one thing, that in programming, you can start at any day, even if you tried before, still you can start at any day to start learning programming. Me, I did not study from Uganda. I studied from somewhere there, the place in India, for 4 years. That's where I did my bachelor's from. So I became a programmer because of the environment. I was around programmers. I was having good internet connection. I was having a good computer by that time. So not even a good computer, but I was just having a computer. So the environment enabled me to start learning. So you can also create your own environment. First of all, is just first get a good computer. As I've told you, you need to buy at least an SSD and a good RAM, so you can be able to learn these things. And these things, they need also time and practicing. So last question, the last comment that I'd like to, let me just add 2 more things I'd like to let you know. There are so many things that I can tell you. First thing, I'm just going to give you 2 things, and then we call it a day. First thing that I'd like to give you, to tell you, in programming, it is simpler when you have someone that you're following, when you have some kind of a mentor. There are so many videos there. Someone will tell you that I'm going to teach you how to create a complete e-commerce system in 30 minutes. Yes, the videos are there, but realistically, for you to understand concepts, it will be hard. So, for you to learn, you need to at least have someone to follow along. So, I always find myself like I can be a good example for a Ugandan, because there are so many tutors there. Someone will teach you like you're already in America. He's teaching you things, he's keeping stuff. So it can be hard for you to follow along. But for me, I've created some videos online that shows you how you get started, even if you don't know how to install a browser. I tell you how to install a browser, how to install VS Code. I take you step by step, even if you are at a 0 step, up to the level when you're able to do a website and be able to publish it on internet, and you have something that is working. So those playlists are already there. So one thing that always people find a mistake is that I will watch 2 videos and I think that I'm already a senior out of 45 videos, and I try to watch videos of others. So you can get confused along the way, you get lost. You're trying this video and that video, you're learning JavaScript in the same time, and at the end of the day, you end up that you got lost. So we have trained some people who are now programmers. So what I would advise you is try my tutorials. They're already there, not just for lectures, but for teaching. And try to follow if you actually need to become if you actually need to become a programmer. And follow until you finish the whole tutorial. Trust me, you'll have things that you learn and things that maybe you had misconcept about, and be able to understand things. Then the last thing that I would like to tell you is that programming is marketable at the current industry. There are so many job opportunities for programmers who actually know how to program. You cannot be a real programmer who knows how to program things and be broke here in Uganda if you're in around Kampala. So if you want to just be rich or always have some money, learn programming, my friend, because it is this way. If you don't make your own application or systems, if you don't make system for other people, then you'll make your own application. Think a way. It's not like you don't need to work for anyone. You don't need to work for anyone like these social things, social workers. What you must go in office, you must cook for someone to get money. Think in a way that you have the knowledge of programming in your head. You can wake up maybe in an empty room with only a computer, and you're able to come up with a system that actually solves a problem from your own head. So once you have that thing, I find that's kind of priceless. So I would advise everyone here to have knowledge of programming, because it's a big deal. You can't be broke. That is just a friendly advice, because I've tried programming, and if I look at my circles, I'm not very bad. I'm not actually doing bad. I'm really doing good, just because I'm a programmer. I work with Dr. Drake and some other people. So you guys, it's never too late. Unless you think that it's not your thing, then you cannot do programming. But if you believe that programming can work for you, actually it is never too late. You can always start. And once you start, you'll find that maybe it is your thing. However, if you start and you find it's not your thing, it is still okay. But you can try, and maybe you can find that maybe it was a thing, maybe that you did just have guidance. Mobile apps, these days they're looking for people to make mobile apps. These days they're looking for people making websites, web systems. Companies are looking for developers. Just let me give you a very final example. For example, let's say that you know how to create WordPress websites. Just visit any two of websites. Let's say that you don't have any job. Visit 2 websites. Create better versions of those websites. Go to those people. Tell them, I've created a better website than yours, and I think it can work for you. Pay me. And then the person, of course, if you come with something that is better, they'll pay you. Look for companies. You cannot visit like 5 shops in Kampala or 10 shops telling them I can create for you a website, I can create for you a mobile application like this one. 10 shops, and fail to get a person who will be interested to give you a job. So the opportunities are there if you know programming. Then the very, very last thing, once you know these things, then you have to show people that you know. because some people learn things and they don't show. So you have to show people that you know. You're a programmer and you spend a whole year or maybe a whole month, let's say, without posting anything about programming, without posting on your status what you're actually doing. So how will people know? How will people know that you can actually do mobile applications? But if you post things that I can do a mobile app, I can do something like this, of course, people will say you're boasting around, you think you know too much. But out of 100 people who will say that, there will be like 2 people who will keep it in their mind that if I want a mobile app, I'll need to reach a certain person X. And those are the people that you will have to target. So your family, your friends, you have to show them that you know things, okay, and be confident. And once you show them, then it means that they'll also keep you in your plans, in their plans, that if they want someone who can do a mobile app or web application, you'll be there. And trust me, the industry is still very virgin and we are enjoying money. So you can join us, and the journey is clear if you can follow those videos on YouTube, on Udemy, on online platforms. Yeah, there you can try out if you want to become actually programmers. All right, with that much said, let me take your attendance, guys. Let's have a lady, if it's there, and give us final comment, and then we call it a day if there's no questions. Yeah. So another class, it will be action packed. We shall not go back to motivation, it will be just serious things. Then also lastly, every lecture that we teach, you always have videos. So I'll share with you the video links so you can come back and watch again. We shall upload these videos so you can watch again if you want to. Any lady? Justin Fenela Aboni, are you there? Justin, are you there? Justin, open your microphone and say something. All right, let's have a gentleman to give us final remarks and we call it a day. Just anything. Anyone? Open your microphone.
Yes.
Yes, let's have Odong and then another person. All right. 2 people and then you call it a day.
I wanted to know, I have a laptop of 2 GB RAM and SSD of 256 GB. Will it be able to really install the whole things you were telling us here?
Yes.
Because you were talking of 8 GB RAM, I don't know if that one comes.
Yes, it can, but you need only to increase your RAM. RAM is too small, 2 GB is too small. And you said you have SSD? Yes. SSD? Yeah.
Yes, SSD.
That SSD can work, but you need to increase the RAM. And maybe if it is less than i3, then you also need to increase the cores. So you have to invest in my brother. It's i5. All right, so you just need to increase the RAM. RAM is cheap. It's less than around 200 there, around 200K. You'll be able to get 8 GB RAM. If you're okay, you can do it 16 GB, and then you know you're going to be good for good time. So just increase the RAM. 2 GB is too small. I'll not lie you, my brother.
Yes, hello, Mbaraka.
Yes, sir.
Yes, actually, I want to take this time to appreciate the work you have given us. This is Basigo Alex. And I like the remarks that you have given that members should join the community. I'm actually one of those people who have been in the field of programming. And I can still say that whatever you are talking is very good, especially for the beginners who may choose to join the programming. I think it would have been more better for someone not to rush into a number of programming language, because we are going to have a challenge whereby one person is learning more than one programming languages and the concept will be left out. So what we should actually do, I think members should be first told that we have those developers who are actually front-end developers. Then we have those who are doing back-end developers. and we also have those who are doing full stack developments. So you find that there are members who may not be interested in more of the contents, but someone may be interested in developing UIs, front end, using React, using JavaScript. And also there are those who may be interested in back end with their own technologies. Then there are those who may be interested in developing simple websites, for example, using WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and as well, there are those who may be interested in full stack, which actually deals with combining both the front end and the back end. Then we also have those who may be interested in deploying only. So the introduction that you have brought, especially on the GitHub, it was very fantastic that someone can proceed with the project. But the only thing that you left out and that I wanted to also talk about was when the application is done and someone is publishing it or deploying it directly from GitHub. I just wanted to let members that once you develop an application and you are using your GitHub or Git, it becomes more easy for you to publish your application to any hosting service provider by basically using the commands that Mr. Mbarak has been talking about. Then another issue that I remember when I was hearing someone was asking the question about the SDK and as well as the IDE. That one you responded very well. I have seen it very well that in most cases when we are developing, someone can say, so there are many languages. Is it only Kotlin and Java that can be used to develop mobile app? What if I'm a JavaScript developer? Can't I use React Native? So now, those are the issues that I also want to talk about. Like if someone is using React Native, he can as well come up with the mobile app. Two, someone who is developing like mobile applications and is using Kotlin, and as well, because I want to ask you that why are we choosing Kotlin and Java? And I remember that previously a mobile application we are developing Java, but later on, JetBrains came up with Kotlin, which is a bit more preferred currently. So we find that someone can as well develop mobile apps using React Native and is using Visual Studio Code, Visual Code. So can you also highlight on that, especially for people who are JavaScript developers and they are dealing with React Native and also the other point? Two, for this module, if we are learning using Flutter and maybe the examination comes, can someone be able to utilize any platform as long as he achieves any objective or answers the question very well? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Alex. Yeah, you've brought up very good concern, and I thank you for the remarks that you've made. You've talked about people not to trying this and that and that and that. That is very good point. I also talked about it. You have to stick to one path. If you choose a tutor, stick to one tutor. If you chose a course on maybe Coursera or Udemy for programming, stick to that until you finish it, because meandering is not very good in programming. It wastes time and demoralizes. Yeah, so stick to one thing if you start learning. It's good to first seek advice and someone guides you. So me, I'm a full stack developer. And for example, me, I'm a full stack developer. I always advise others to be full stack developer, because in Uganda here, it's very hard to get a job for someone to tell you, please write for me CSS only. It is very hard to get a job for someone to tell you, I want you to write for me HTML and CSS only. I want someone to write for me only the API only. It is very hard. So why can't you learn all in a way that you are available for any kind of job? Because your brain has no limit. And if you follow my tutorials, the path that I always take you is just to learn everything. At the end of the day, you should be able to create your own mobile app, your own APIs. If you get a company that is advertising for a web front-end developer, you're able to go there. If you get for a company that is advertising for back-end developer, you're able to go there. However, those who like specializing, it's also okay. But for me, I always like to do full stack, and that's what I always advise. However, anyone can do anything. Then your final questions. I would like to tell you the first one. We're not going to teach everything in this very lecture. There are so many things that would have spoken. For example, that thing of deploying. If you go to my YouTube channel, I'm already teaching how you deploy projects that are already on GitHub to deploy them on your cPanel, how you deploy them on different kind of hosting. I even do the practical thing. I show you how you publish your applications to Play Store. I show you so many techniques. And that's what I'm planning to do in this series. However, I cannot talk all those in one lecture. So I cannot manage, of course, because of time and having a detail of things. So it has a lot of advantages knowing that GitHub is very advantageous, as you've said, and I really agree with you. So everyone has to learn that. That's why I even start with it before I even start going into Flutter. Yeah, so thank you for your remarks. Then last question. We are teaching Flutter. For example, you're just like asking, let's say that we are teaching C programming at the university, or maybe in the particular course. There are already other programming languages in C#, C++, but if we have chose C programming and then we give you an exam and then you write PHP code instead of C programming, if it can achieve something, the same thing, that will have not demonstrated that you have actually learned. Okay? It means that if you already know maybe other things, you can say, okay, I'll not be attending lectures, I'll demonstrate the same thing, how you can earn them in a different way. No. Right now we are teaching Flutter, we have chosen Flutter, and we are considering Flutter. So if we give you an assignment, do it in Flutter, don't do it in another language. There are so many languages that you can do. You can say, okay, let's do React. Now when you do React, another person wants to do it in Flutter. That is confusion. So we stick to one thing. It's a process of learning. If you don't want Flutter, you can just learn it to pass. Once you pass, you ditch it. It is okay. So I hope I've answered you, sir. So lastly, let's have Martin and call it a day.
Yes, my question is probably directed towards Doctor. I just wanted to know, is there an exam for this course? Because it seems very practical. So
yeah, Doctor.
I don't see why I would have to sit.
Dr. Drake will answer you that maybe. Dr. Drake will answer you that maybe even through your class representative. He'll give you the full structure. For me, I'm here for just practical sessions. So Dr. Drake will answer that. He's the senior lecturer for this course. All right. Okay. So ladies, you decided to keep quiet. Apart from one who presented you, Muvao ntituwaliako mere. All right,
hello,
Brenda.
Good evening.
Yes, after you, then Brenda. Okay, good evening.
Good evening. It's Godwin speaking, but I figured you must assume it's a gentleman. However, I would just have to say my appreciation to you, Hindo. It's been a very, very insightful session, or should I say class. I've been very attentive. I've learned so many things. I didn't even know certain languages, Kotlin, Dart. So I must say I'm really a beginner, excited to walk this journey with you. And I was also motivated by the last remarks or comments that you stated of how quick it is to get a job if you're a developer. So I'm really, really motivated by that and excited for this class. So I really hope to walk the journey with you. The only thing I did not get is how to get in touch with you besides pushing our work onto the GitHub repository for you to assess and maybe give certain remarks. So if you could maybe drop that, I don't know if it's allowed, but that I would say thank you so much and hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Godwin. Hey, Godwin. All right. Okay, thank you for appreciating. Yeah. You never know, this can be your first step to get your real call. Well, I'm going to share with you my WhatsApp. I can respond to WhatsApp messages. Yeah, I can guide, I can help, I can show you the path. Yeah, in case you have any question, I can help you with my WhatsApp. So I'll put my WhatsApp in the chat. Then,
Thank you.
did you have 2 questions? Wasn't that the only
No.
question?
No, it wasn't really a question, just really appreciating your time, and I really learned a lot. Thank you.
All right, that's good. That's good. All right, so I'll always come back to train you. So now the next lecture will be now real action, real practicals. When I finish the practical, I give you. So when you finish the lecture, I give you a task, and when you try it out, you'll be able to see that okay, I'm also able to make a button that I can put on someone's phone. I'm able to make a form that can collect data. So that's what we're going to now start facing in the real lecture. And if you don't give up, we shall end at the level where we're now able to put your app on Google Play Store. That's the direction that we are taking. So all I need is just need to give people to really commit. Maybe in 2 months, we should be somewhere. All right, thank you for appreciating. So we're going to move this. Brenda, give us a final word. Let me put my WhatsApp number in the comments. Those who will be interested, you can reach me through WhatsApp messages. Brenda, you can give us final remarks on quality day.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Muhindo. Mine is a question about GitHub. There is where a collaborator can make some changes to like the settings, like add some plugins, some libraries, and the code is working on their computer. But when they share it and another person fetches it, it's not able to run on their computer. So my question is there a way of sharing settings or resources or libraries with the other collaborators so that the code that is working on your computer can also work on their computer?
Yeah, that is really interesting. And I've also experienced it. So in that case, what we always do, it's not recommended, but you can try it. So that always happens because when you share and the package is ignored, it means that the other person will have to download the latest packages. So some packages that are actually new, they always what? They usually crash. So one of the way of how you can do that, of how you can solve that, if you have actually tried to fix those issues on the other person's computer and they are not working, what you do, you remove things in the git ignore. You remove them. In the other .git ignore, I believe you know that file. I showed you today even. It is always hidden. You can unhide to see all the files, and then you'll be able to see .git ignore. So delete everything .git ignore, commit, and push. So what will happen, GitHub will try to push everything that is in your repository. Even the other things that I told that they are not advised to be pushed, they'll all be pushed. Even the packages, they'll be pushed. So if the other person pulls, he'll get the real instance that you had pushed. Though it is heavy, sometimes it is always very slow, but that is the way how you can approach that. And when you push and the other person pulls, so the instance will come as how it is on your computer, and probably it will have to run. That's what you always sometimes do when you face such kind of challenges. However, it is not recommended. Yeah, but you can do it. You just delete the .git ignore content and then commit and push.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, members, have a good evening. See you next week. We shall share the videos of these lectures and also the links that might help you. If you want to reach me, you can use WhatsApp. Good night.